We have a great show lined up for you today on Retiring Well. Going to be talking about 2023 health insurance trends. So what's changed since last year? Along with that, investing in your 401k. That might be something you'll want to be listening in on. And 10 retirement blunders. Are you making one of those, and can you avoid it? And lastly, how to fill the gaps in your retirement savings. So all of this and a whole lot more coming up right here, right now on Retiring Well.
Retiring Well. Brought to you by Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial advisors specializing in retirement planning and serving all of northern Michigan. Retiring Well, helping you plan for a successful and comfortable retirement. Retiring Well. Plan to retire well.
It's 2023, and we're going to take a look at the changes to Medicare and health insurance for the new year. Let's start by looking at the changes to Medicare. First up, there are going to be higher Medicare Part A costs. Remember, Part A covers your hospital insurance. So Medicare Part A costs are increasing by an overall average of about 3% for 2023, which is a little lower than last year's increase. All Medicare Part A costs are increasing for 2023, so that includes the deductible, the premium, coinsurance. All those are increasing by about 3% this year for Part A. Medicare Part B enrollees, remember Part B is medical insurance or doctor's insurance, will pay a lower Part B premium and deductible for 2023. Medicare premiums for Part B will decrease by about 3% to $164.90 for 2023, which happens to be the first Part B rate decline in nearly 10 years. New in 2023, Medicare has added a new Part B benefit for people who've had a kidney transplant. The new benefit will extend coverage for drugs that help to keep your body from rejecting a donor kidney beyond the current limit of 36 months. Now let's take a look at the changes to Medicare Part D. Remember, Part D is prescription drug coverage. The average rate for a standard Medicare Part D plan has decreased a bit this year, going from $32.08 on average in 2022 to $31.50 per month in 2023. Your other Part D costs will be increasing for 2023. The maximum Part D deductible will increase from $480 in 2022 to $505 in 2023. And that threshold for entering the catastrophic coverage phase, when you get through the donut hole phase and your benefits improve, will go up from $7,050 in 2022 to $7,400 in 2023. As of 2023, all Medicare Part D and Medicare Advantage plans with prescription coverage will cap the cost of select insulin products at $35. So with this change, you'll pay no more than $35 a month for a month's supply of insulin. And then starting on July 1st of this year, people on original Medicare who use an insulin pump will also pay no more than $35 a month for a month's supply of insulin. Also new as of January 2023, vaccines, including the shingles vaccine, will be covered, that are covered under Medicare Part D, will also now be free. Now let's take a look at the changes that affect health insurance for those who are under age 65, so pre-Medicare or marketplace insurance. The big news here is that the impact of the Inflation Reduction Act, which was signed back in August of 2022, this extends the premium tax credit subsidies for 3 more years, so that's going to take us through 2025. This means that those higher income earners can make above the 400% of the federal poverty level and still get a subsidy, reducing that monthly insurance premium. If you have questions about Medicare or health insurance, would like to talk to us, or if you're interested in a free consultation, give us a call at Centennial Wealth today.
What a great segment by Ben there. He did a really nice job just explaining the different trends of healthcare. And when clients come in to meet, we're always looking, what is their biggest worry? And so many times we see that, can I retire? Will I have enough money? And what does my health care look like? And here at Centennial Wealth, Ben, Nick, and myself are all licensed in healthcare. And so when they get into those healthcare conversations and we start creating a healthcare timeline that might move from your employer-sponsored plan to potentially marketplace insurance to Medicare insurance, mapping that out and being able to talk and teach about that has been really beneficial for our clients. Recently, I had a couple 60 years old out of Lake City, and they were ready to retire. And so we were mapping all of this stuff out, and then we had to get into the healthcare timeline, talk through, now that you're going to be on marketplace health insurance, now there is a taxable income portion to your planning that you want to be very careful of. And so their healthcare then, tax subsidies was going to be linked to their taxable income, and that flowed over into which investments and investment accounts we might want to pull from until they turn 65. But there was a piece that they could have a holistic plan. And I know, Nick, you get to have these conversations all the time.
Yeah, yep. Over in the Gaylord office, it's all the time for health insurance. I mean, and I love that Ben touched on those trends for health insurance because, you know, with that recent legislation that was passed, more people are now qualifying for a decent subsidy on that marketplace insurance. So what I'm finding quite often is, although people are kind of hesitant about retirement because of that health insurance aspect, when they get to sit down, meet with us, go over the numbers, discover that they actually get a decent subsidy to help offset their health insurance premium, it makes them want to retire that much more because they can finally see, oh, I can actually do this. Health insurance isn't going to be that roadblock in my retirement plan. And that's just so fulfilling as an advisor sitting on the other side of the table, being able to present this information to you and just see that, hey, I get it, I understand, I can actually do this. It's so fulfilling. So please don't hesitate to ever reach out with any of those health insurance questions. All right, coming up next, we're going to be talking about investing in your 401k and then retirement blunders you don't want to miss.
Are you concerned about having enough savings to last through retirement? Studies have shown that outliving their money in retirement is the #1 concern of most retirees. Many don't know where to find answers to their questions. Centennial Wealth Advisory can help. We are financial professionals, fiduciaries specializing in retirement planning and serving all of Northern Michigan with offices in Traverse City, Gaylord, Petoskey, and Cadillac. Call us today to request your complimentary retirement income analysis. Some of you may have been doing this for 20, 30, 40 years, investing in your 401k, or maybe it's new to you or maybe you're in a new plan as you've moved from one employer to another. So let's just share with you a few ideas when talking about investing in your 401k. So the first thing is you're going to get a menu of different investment options. So this could vary. You may be looking at your 401k and see, oh, there's 10 different funds typically to choose from, or maybe you have 30 different funds, or maybe even more, but it's most common that your employer is going to have some type of plan that'll have a limitation on what you can invest in. And typically these are just going to be different mutual funds that are offered through whoever the custodian of your 401k. They've come up with a plan there. So it could be a combination of different equity type holdings, stock type of holdings, or there might be different bond funds which tend to have a lower risk than, say, the equity markets. One of those that you see pretty common is called a target dated fund, where they say, well, I think I'm going to retire in 2030 or 2040 or whatever it might be, and then you can choose that target dated fund where the manager behind the scenes is going to be adjusting the equity bond exposure based on how close you are to that retirement date. You might have where your company offers their own company stock within the 401k plan. This is where I'd encourage you to be careful with that, not to get too overweighted within the 401k, or that's true with any investing, to put all your eggs in one basket and depend on that one company stock can be a little bit dangerous if things don't work out well. You'll want to consider your time horizon when picking your different investment options within the 401k. So, along with that then comes your risk tolerance. How much risk are you willing to take? And so that'll determine sort of what percentage you might have over on the equity side versus the bond side. And then look at the big picture. Consider what other retirement accounts you have. So it's not uncommon where we'll talk with clients where we're maybe managing some portion of the portfolio and say it's a little less risk on that side, but okay, in their 401k they might want to take a little bit more risk there to create some type of balance that they're more comfortable with. And look at the tax implications. Is a Roth 401k an option that's available to you? Another route to go, if you're self-employed, there might be a solo 401k that you can set up with higher contribution limits. And lastly, consider an in-service rollover. With a 401k, you might be able to shift assets out of the 401k prior to retirement. So maybe something to consider. So feel free to give us a call with any questions.
If you like watching Retiring Well, make sure to go to youtube.com/retiringwell and click the subscribe button to never miss any of our TV shows and other informative videos.
So Art Canfield and I grew up in Traverse City here together, about a mile down the road from each other.
John and I have been best buddies since we were in kindergarten.
Met each other in kindergarten at Glen Loomis Elementary.
I still remember one of the earliest memories of John and I connecting way back in our kindergarten class.
We always would have sort of a business mindset when we were trading our basketball cards and football cards of, okay, what's the value of this versus that?
We had all these dreams of playing in the NFL together.
He was the center on the football team. I was the quarterback.
I've been protecting him my whole life, and so now we get to do it in the business world.
With a little bass, here for the thrill, I don't need a chaser. Wanna vibe it to get away. Shimmy, shimmy, yeah,
each of us stood up in each other's weddings, and now we've enjoyed seeing our families grow together and spend time together.
Working with John and Art is awesome. The camaraderie that they have, the banter that you hear on a day-to-day basis is it's so much fun.
They're very authentic. These people are in it for the right reasons, and they're really genuinely doing what they can to help people. That, to me, makes all the difference, that I can feel good about the work that I do working with them.
Who they are as people, their values, they truly want to help people. That kind of permeates through the whole culture of our office.
Being so similar but different in certain ways is such an asset, not only for our team, but also for our clients, to be able to have, I think, our experience in valuing relationships so importantly.
Something that's so vital within business is having that trusting relationship. As Art and I have had that trust built over the past 35 plus years now, so we have that confidence knowing that if I'm not there to make a decision, you've got a business partner that you trust implicitly to make those decisions and not question at all what direction that he's going with it or the business is going. So it's just been sort of a dream to be able to work alongside your best friend.
I want to give a few minutes here and talk about 5 retirement blunders that I'm hoping you can avoid. The first one is not having a retirement plan for income. Where that income is coming from, how that income is invested, and what is the long-term nature of that sustainable income that you have. How is the income going to be taxed? So again, I just kind of rattled off a few there just for income, but again, not having a plan for your retirement income can be a massive blunder. And since your income is really your lifestyle in retirement, that might be the single most important thing you can plan for. You wouldn't go into every single week of your life while you're working, not having a plan where your paycheck might be coming from or some form of income to provide for your family, right? Don't do the same thing in retirement. Even if you got a pot of money, you got Social Security, maybe a pension, you still got to have a long-term plan from that. The second blunder, especially even more relevant now lately, is not having a plan that factors in inflation. You know, you might be retired for 20, 30 more years out there, and likely that cost of goods is going to go up over time. How does that factor into what your income is going to be, and also what is the ability to produce that rising income as maybe that inflation goes up over the years? The third blunder is failing to save enough for your retirement. Again, this could be twofolds. One, maybe you weren't prudent and didn't start early enough, or two, maybe retirement is a little more expensive than you thought it might be. So again, start prior to retirement. Start looking at what that retirement budget may be, the things that you want to do, those goals that you have in retirement, so you have that end number, that end goal in mind, so you can back into what you need. So not having enough can be a massive blunder because, hey, you know, you don't want your money to run out before you do. And not having a tax plan is the fourth one I want to talk about here. Again, taxes play a role in our lives from day one pretty much, right? There's different forms of that. We're talking about income tax here. While you're working, you know, you see it usually deducted right out of your payroll and paychecks. In retirement, depending upon that income stream that you're using, may or may not be taxable. You know, Social Security depends on some other stuff, how much of that's going to be taxable. Pension, there's different ways depending upon where you live, and the type of pension will determine that. You know, IRAs, 401ks, hey, they're likely going to be taxables. Roth IRAs, does that make sense for you and such like that? Again, having a tax plan through your whole retirement and all the things you can modify with that are vitally important. And the final one I want to leave you this, and for this is mainly for those folks that are married out there currently, not have a surviving spouse tax plan. You know, what happens if one of you was to pass away? What changes to the income? What changes to the expenses do you have? And how is that surviving spouse going to adapt? If you'd like to try to avoid these blunders or work through these so you don't see these in your retirement, give us a call to the number on the screen. We'd love to help you out. And here at Centennial Wealth Advisory, where we can help for you to plan to retire well.
Another very informative segment there, and kind of want to hone in on those blunders that they were talking about. Never fun to talk about blunders, but it's a good idea to make sure that you're aware of what issues could come up as you're planning to retire. One of the big things that kind of caught my attention was the comments on inflation. Okay, that is often very missed in retirement planning. And here at Centennial Wealth Advisory, we have the ability to put the numbers to the road and show inflation at whatever rate you want and what that might look like 10, 15, 20 years down the road in retirement. Great example, I had a client come down from the Lovell's area, and they had an estimation of about $5,000 a month as far as their expenses in retirement. But they had no idea what that $5,000 a month might turn into 20 years down the road. So when we plugged this into our retirement analyzer program and said, hey, what at a 3% average inflation rate, what does $5,000 a month really look like in 20 years? And that total came to over $10,000 a month 20 years from now. And it was very eye-opening for them, but it gave us the opportunity to plan for that. I mean, we could adjust their income and expense needs to account for whatever inflation we might expect. And I know, Jack, you experienced the same thing in Cadillac.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time when we were having our first meetings paying close attention to what I would call cash flow contentment. What I mean by that is I'm listening very carefully to what they want their lifestyle to be, how much they have in expenses, what's on their bucket list, what they've saved up, what their contractual lifetime income is. But after we get all that stuff in, I'm really looking to the heart of the matter. I'm really trying to, get past the surface to see, do they have that cash flow contentment? Are they content with what's coming in? Are they content with the sources that they've saved up, that's going to be predictable income to cover that unemployment in retirement? And are they content with that? And at the end of the day, sometimes you see a wide range where, it's not an asset level, it's a contentment level that needs to be changed or brought. And then sometimes it's the other way where we get to become their spend coach. Like, you're too content in your cash flow and it's coming your way through RMDs or whatever kind of required minimum distributions you might have. So, hey, coming up next, we're going to be talking about how to fill the gaps in your retirement savings. Stay tuned.
The biggest concerns that clients have when they come to see us is usually the fear of the unknown. When they're heading into retirement, there is so many uncertainties that they're going to face, not only financially, but with time, with insurances, with taxes.
You figure you've got one chance to do it and you better do it right.
With that fear of unknown, they're looking for somebody to walk alongside them in this journey and to guide them along the way.
Retirement's like 20 to 30 years of unemployment, so you need to have a plan in place to generate that income.
We can help eliminate some of those unknowns and give them the confidence that they're going to be able to succeed in the goals they want to do in retirement.
We want you to have your finances in order so that that's more of an afterthought, more of something that you say, well, that's what our team at Centennial Wealth Advisory is there to take care of.
Too often, our industry focuses on the tools that are available in mutual funds and stocks and bonds, and oftentimes the industry wants to start with a product. We believe here that you should focus on the individual's goals first. What do you want to do in retirement? What does that look like to you? Then what strategies do we need to implement to make those goals become a reality?
So often we find that our clients love spending time with their family, with their grandchildren. Here in northern Michigan, people love to be outside and enjoy kayaking or biking or hiking in the warmer months, sometimes in the winter months as well, out snowshoeing. Our hope at Centennial Wealth Advisory is to help you open up those opportunities to go and enjoy your retirement.
As a financial advisor, it's not just my job to manage just your money. It's my job to understand who you are as a person, your personal relationships, your aspirations and goals, and so I can help create a plan that ties your financial future with your personal future and all those goals.
You want to retire, you get one opportunity to retire, and you want to do it right the first time. Our role here at Centennial Wealth Advisory is to help walk you through that entire process and ultimately help you plan to retire well. Let's talk about how to fill the gaps in your retirement savings. So retirement planning, it always comes down to what are your expenses, anticipated expenses in retirement, and then do you have sufficient income? So often people are always focused solely on, well, how big do I need to get my retirement savings to be successful with retirement? Well, no, it really comes back to what are those expenses going to look like, and then what are those different income sources between Social Security, maybe a pension, and then how does your retirement savings sort of help supplement that, and figuring out big picture what that looks like over time. So again, start with your expenses. And maybe it's time to evaluate what are some of those, optional costs that you might be able to cut. Are you, doing too much of this or that and really don't need to be spending money in that way? One of the big areas that we stress is eliminating debt. Credit cards can get you into a lot of trouble. I think that's probably over the 18 years I've been here at Centennial Wealth, one of the biggest areas that I've seen that creates complications with your retirement plan is when you have that credit card debt. Another area you want to consider is boosting your savings. I mean, is there a way where you could carve out, say, an extra couple $100 a month and based on, if you were to get a 7% return on that over the next 15 years, that could be an additional $63,000 when you look at that. So again, consider boosting your savings, evaluate those reserve funds, and what sort of interest are you earning on those? Nowadays with a lot of the banks and credit unions and everything are coming out with higher interest crediting options, and even government bonds are out there. So there's different options that have increased the amount that you could or should be earning, say on your savings or money market accounts. So definitely be looking into that. You may need to consider adjusting your retirement date. If you've run all these numbers and looked at where you are and what your expenses, and you can't really cut anything further, well, Perhaps you may have to continue working X number of years longer to build up that savings and maybe cut out some of those costs. Or should you change some of those retirement assumptions? Is it necessary possibly to relocate if the cost of living just isn't going to work for your retirement? There's all sorts of reports out there of, okay, where are the lowest cost areas to live, and Northern Michigan's one of the higher cost areas. So consider reducing your expenses, working part-time. All of these are different ways to help you come up with a plan to make sure that you have a sustainable and predictable retirement income. So if you have questions on this or need any help, you're welcome to give us a call here at Centennial Wealth Advisory.
You know, what I love that we get to do is we get to go to the depths of conversations. You know, when you're talking financial planning, when you're talking money, investment, that's personal. And so you can't stay at the surface if you're gonna be able to really want to help them. Recently, in the Cadillac office, we were talking about when is full retirement going to happen. And as I said earlier in the show here, you know, I was really honing in on what their cash flow contentment was. That's what I was trying to get at. And at the end of the day, their retirement was to do a lot of front porch sitting. They wanted to have the grandkids that they were close to come visit. They wanted to be down by the pond. They had paid off their debt, you know, and their expenses just weren't that high. And so, you know, we were able to map out how actually their retirement goal could be achieved and the strategies to get there. And then I've had clients that have a lot of digits before the decimal, and they have, you know, high income, high net worth. And then we have to map out, what do you want in your retirement? What is going to make you most fulfilled? Okay, and now look at what you've accomplished and maybe gathered. You know, how do you want to spend that? How do you want to give that? How do you want to bless others? What do you want that time of life to look like? And to be able to sit down and go to those depths is very rewarding. I know Petoskey, Gaylord, you always have some good stories.
Yeah, I mean, another thing that was talked about there is that they get help, right? You go out and seek advice. And that's what we're here for. You know, Jack was talking about that income contentment. I recently came across a couple where they wanted to retire and they wanted to take Social Security right away. They wanted that guaranteed income, even though they were only 62 years old each. But you know what? They wanted that. They wanted to enjoy the first 10 years of retirement, and that's when they're going to do the most spending anyway. So yeah, I can crunch the numbers all day long and show you, okay, it might be in your best interest to wait a little bit longer, but it ultimately comes down to, what are your goals? What do you want out of retirement? And what gives you that income contentment? All right, so I hope you found this show valuable. Please don't hesitate to reach out to the number on the screen. Give us a call. Schedule that free, no obligation consultation. We're here to help. Also, don't forget to check us out online. You can go to YouTube/Retiring Well and get all these great episodes for you. You can watch it whenever you'd like. All right, come back next week. Take care.